I thought I had found my forever until the night I discovered I was just another option. Liam wasn't just my fiancé, he was my best friend, my safe place, the man who made me believe in love again. We had spent 6 years building a life together, planning our future, dreaming of a home filled with love and laughter. And then, in the blink of an eye, it all shattered. It happened on a rainy Thursday evening. I remember because Liam had always said he loved the rain that made him feel alive. But that night, the rain felt different. Cold. Heavy. Like an omen. He had been distant for weeks, his phone always face down, his excuses piling up like unread messages. I told myself I was overthinking. But deep down, a gnawing fear whispered, something is wrong. And then, I saw it. His phone lit up on the table while he was in the shower. A name I didn't recognize. Sophia. Can't wait to see you tonight. Miss you already read. My stomach twisted. My hands trembled as I read the words again, hoping, praying that I had imagined them. But there they were, glowing against the screen, undeniable. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it might shatter my ribs. Tonight? He had told me he had a work meeting. The air around me felt suffocating. My mind raced with questions I didn't want to ask. Who was she? How long has this been going on? And the one that hurt the most was I not enough? I heard the shower turn off. My body moved on autopilot. I placed the phone back, face down, exactly where it was. My fingers curled into fists, nails digging into my palms to keep from breaking. I needed answers, but more than the tie, needed the truth. Love isn't supposed to feel like a question. It's supposed to feel like home. That's what I believed when I met Liam. We weren't a fairy tale couple, but we were real. We had been together for 6 years, 6 beautiful, chaotic, imperfect years that I thought were leading to forever. I still remember the night he proposed. It wasn't extravagant or staged for social media. It was just us. A small cabin in the mountains, a fireplace crackling in the background, snow falling gently outside. He took my hands in his eyes filled with something I thought was love, and whispered, "I can't imagine my life without you. Marry me?" I said yes without hesitation. I loved Liam in a way I had never loved anyone before. He wasn't just my partner. He was my best friend, my safe place, the person I could be completely myself with. We had been through so much together, late night drives talking about our dreams, fights that ended with tearful apologies, lazy Sundays wrapped in blankets, dreaming of the future. And now, I was holding on to a past that might have been a lie. Liam had always been ambitious. He worked in finance, constantly chasing bigger opportunities, higher paychecks, a life beyond the ordinary. I admired his drive, his determination. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing the shift. The late nights at the office turned into weekends away for business. The simple dreams we had, buying a cozy house, building a life together, were replaced by his obsession with luxury, power, and connections. I didn't mind working hard for a better future, but I had never been the kind of person who needed designer bags and fancy dinners to feel happy. Liam, on the other hand, had started craving those things like oxygen. Still, I told myself we were okay. I ignored the way he seemed distracted when we were together, the way his phone never left his side. I convinced myself that love meant trusting him, even when the little voice in my head whispered warnings I didn't want to hear. Then came Sophia. The name on his phone screen was just 5 letters, but in that moment it unraveled everything I thought I knew about my life. I told myself I wouldn't jump to conclusions. That message could have meant anything. Maybe she was a colleague, a friend maybe. It was nothing. But deep down, I already knew. Liam had been pulling away for weeks. The small things I used to ignore suddenly felt like neon signs screaming for my attention. The way he turned his phone over when I walked into the room. The last-minute business dinners that left him coming home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't his. The way he barely looked at me anymore, like I was background noise in his perfectly curated life. I wanted to be wrong. So, instead of confronting him right away, I decided to wait. To watch. To see if he would tell me the truth before I had to drag it out of him. That night, I pretended nothing was wrong. I kissed him like I always did, cooked dinner like I always did. I watched him laugh at something on his phone, the same phone that had held her message just hours ago. The next morning, I woke up early. Liam was still asleep beside me, his arm draped over my waist like he still belonged there. I stared at the ceiling, my heart heavy with questions I was too afraid to ask. Then his phone vibrated. Carefully, I slid out from under his arm, moving as quietly as possible. The screen was still lit up on the nightstand. Another message. From her. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. When can we see each other again? Read. The floor felt like it was crumbling beneath me. Last night. While I had been sitting at home, convincing myself I was being paranoid, he had been with her. My fingers clenched into fists, my entire body trembling. I forced myself to breathe, to think. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't just a mistake. Liam was cheating on me. And the worst part? He had been lying to my face, every single day. I took a shaky step back, my pulse roaring in my ears. For a moment, I considered waking him up, shoving the phone in his face, demanding answers. But I didn't want to lie. I didn't want excuses. I wanted the truth. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the steam rising from my untouched coffee. The house was silent, except for the occasional hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of Liam's slow breathing from the bedroom. His phone was still on the nightstand, holding the evidence of his betrayal. I should have woken him up right then and there. I should have thrown the phone at him, demanded answers, screamed until he had no choice but to tell me the truth. But I didn't. Instead, I just sat there, my mind spiraling into a storm of questions I didn't know how to answer. Who was she? How long has this been going on? Had I been a fool this whole time? A sickening thought crept into my mind. What if I had never checked his phone? Would he have ever told me? Or would he have just kept kissing me in the mornings, holding me at night, pretending that I was the only one? I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to fight back the tears threatening to spill. I needed to think. A part of me wanted to believe there was some logical explanation. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe Sophia was just a friend, and I was jumping to conclusions. But no friend sends messages like that. No friend says last night was amazing with a heart emoji. The truth was staring me in the face, and yet, I still found myself resisting it. I jumped when I heard movement from the bedroom. Footsteps. A yawn. The creak of the door opening. A few seconds later, Liam walked into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. "You're up early," he murmured, walking past me to grab a glass of water. His voice was groggy, his hair tousled from sleep. He looked so normal, like nothing had changed, but everything had. I gripped my coffee mug tighter. "Yeah, couldn't sleep." He nodded, drinking his water, completely unaware that I was on the verge of breaking. I studied him, searching for any sign of guilt, any crack in the facade. But he was good. Too good. He kissed my forehead before sitting across from me, pulling out his phone. I held my breath. The screen lit up. His expression didn't change. He just swiped the notification away without even blinking. And that was the moment I knew. There was no guilt because he wasn't sorry. He had already made peace with his lies. I swallowed the lump in my throat. My voice was barely a whisper. "Liam, is there something you want to tell me?" His eyes flicked up to meet mine. "What do you mean?" I hesitated. I wanted so badly for him to come clean, to admit the truth on his own. But he didn't. He just looked at me, calm, unaffected. Liar. I forced a smile, pushing down the anger bubbling inside me. Never mind. Because I wasn't going to let him see me break. Not yet. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to sit around, waiting for Liam to destroy me piece by piece. I needed proof, something undeniable. Something he couldn't weasel his way out of with pretty words and empty apologies. So, the next evening, I followed him. Liam had told me he had another late-night meeting. I nodded, pretending to believe him, but the moment he stepped out of the house, I grabbed my keys and slipped into my car, keeping a safe distance as I talked him through the city. He wasn't going to a meeting. I knew that. But a part of me still hoped, please, let me be wrong. 15 minutes later, he pulled into the parking lot of an upscale restaurant. The kind of place we had always dreamed of going to but never had the money for. My stomach twisted as I watched him step out of his car, straightening his jacket, checking his reflection in the window. He looked excited, nervous even. And then, she arrived. A sleek black car pulled up, and a woman stepped out. Tall, stunning, the kind of beauty that made people turn their heads. She walked toward him with effortless confidence, and when she reached him, she didn't hesitate. She leaned in, pressing a kiss against his lips like she had done it 1,000 times before. He kissed her back. I felt like I had been punched in the chest. My vision blurred, my fingers tightening around the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. There it is, I thought numbly. The truth, not just words on a string, not just a feeling in my gut. Undeniable, unforgivable. I should have left, driven away. But I couldn't move. I sat there, frozen, as I watched them walk into the restaurant together, laughing, her hand casually resting on his arm like I had been replaced. Something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to run. I was going to end this on my terms. With my heart pounding, I grabbed my phone, took a deep breath, and stepped out of the car. Because Liam was about to learn exactly who he had underestimated. I walked into the restaurant with my head held high, my pulse roaring in my ears. The hostess barely had time to greet me before I spotted them, Liam and her, sitting at a candlelit table in the far corner, sipping wine like they didn't have a care in the world. He was smiling. That same smile he used to give me. Something inside me twisted, but I didn't falter. I strode across the room, heels clicking against the polished floor, my breath steady even as my hands trembled. Then, just as I reached their table, Liam looked up. His expression shifted in an instant, from relaxed to confused. Then, as recognition set in, his face drained of color. "Babe, it don't," I cut him off, my voice steady, cold. "Don't you dare call me that. Sophia, so this is her turn to look at me." A perfectly arched brow raised in mild curiosity. She wasn't flustered, not even slightly. She knew about me, and suddenly, that hurt more than anything else. "You must be his fiancé," she said smoothly, swirling her wine as if this were just another evening. I was wondering when we'd meet. I blinked. She was wondering? My chest tightened, but I refused to let them see me break. I turned to Liam, whose mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "Tell me the truth," I demanded. "How long?" Liam swallowed hard. Sophia rolled her eyes, cutting him off. "Oh, please. Let's not do the whole guilty act, Liam. She deserves the truth." I turned to her, my fists clenching. "Then why don't you enlighten me?" She smirked, leaning forward as if she was sharing a secret. "It's been a year. At first he swore he loved you, that he would never leave you. But..." She trailed off, eyeing Liam with a sly smile. Then he realized he wanted more. A year. An entire year. I had spent the last 12 months loving a man who had already chosen someone else. Liam finally found his voice. "It wasn't like that," he said, desperate now. "It just happened. I didn't mean for this to..." "You didn't mean to cheat on me for a year?" I laughed, the sound sharp, bitter. "You didn't mean to lie every single day? To come home to me and pretend you loved me while you were screwing her?" Liam flinched, shame flickering across his face. "But Sophia?" She just sighed, looking bored. "This is getting exhausting." She reached into her purse, pulled something out, and placed it on the table. A diamond ring. My engagement ring. I stared at it, my stomach lurching. What the hell is this? Liam looked like he wanted to disappear. Sophia smirked. "Oh, he hasn't told you? He gave that to me last week. Said he couldn't stand the thought of marrying someone who didn't understand his ambitions." She tilted her head, eyes gleaming. Poor thing. He really thought you'd be fine staying in your little middle-class life forever. My vision went red. I turned to Liam, my voice shaking with fury. Is that true? He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. I needed more, okay? I wanted more. So Fiancé understands what I want, the kind of life I deserve. I stared at him, my entire body numb. And then, something inside me clicked. I smiled. A slow, knowing smile that made him shift uncomfortably. More? I repeated softly. You wanted more? Liam swallowed. Yes. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. His confusion deepened. Sophia just raised an eyebrow. Calmly, I flipped the folder open and slid a set of documents onto the table. Then you'll be happy to know that everything you wanted? I leaned in, my smile widening. It's gone. Liam grabbed the papers, his eyes scanning the words. And then his face crumbled. What is this? He stammered. Your biggest mistake. I leaned back, enjoying the panic settling in his eyes. You see, Liam, while you were busy playing house with her, I was making sure you didn't get a single thing you wanted. The truth was, Liam and I had investments together, business deals, joint accounts, properties. But what Liam didn't know was that I had already started pulling everything away from him. I had spoken to my lawyers, had everything transferred under my name, and now Liam had nothing. Sophia peeked over his shoulder at the documents, her expression twisting in irritation. Wait, this means... Liam's voice broke. No, you wouldn't owe, but I did. I tapped the papers. You wanted luxury, power, wealth? Well, guess what? I stood up, grabbing my bag. Now I own everything you ever wanted. Liam's jaw tightened, his hands shaking. You can't just, I can. I smirked, tilting my head. And I did. I turned to Sophia. Enjoy your new man. Something tells me he won't be quite as appealing without all the things I paid for. Her smirk faltered. I took one last look at Liam, my chest rising with victory. He looked at me, but this time, it wasn't with arrogance. It was with regret. Good. I picked up my engagement ring from the table, twirled it between my fingers, then tossed it straight into his glass of wine. Then, without another word, I walked out. As I stepped out of the restaurant, the cold night air wrapped around me, soothing the fire raging inside. My heart pounded, but it wasn't from sadness. It was from the intoxicating rush of victory. For the first time in months, maybe even years, I felt free. Liam had spent so long believing he was untouchable, that I was some naive little woman who would sit quietly while he built his perfect little fantasy with another woman. But he was wrong. The moment I caught the first glimpse of his betrayal, I had started planning. The bank accounts we shared? I had transferred my share out weeks ago. The properties? My name was the only one on the official deeds. Even the investments we had made together, well, let's just say I had made some strategic decisions that left him with nothing but debt. And now, all of it was mine. I reached my car, letting out a long breath before unlocking the door. My hands were still shaking now with fear, not with pain, but with the adrenaline of taking back what was mine. Just as I slid into the driver's seat, my phone buzzed. Liam, we need to talk. Please. I smirked, my fingers hovering over the screen. Talk? Now he wanted to talk? I let the message sit there, unread. He didn't deserve a response. With a deep breath, I put my car in drive and pulled out of the parking lot, leaving behind the wreckage of what used to be my life. The news of Liam's downfall spread quickly. Apparently, Sophia wasn't as interested in him once she realized he was broke. Tragic. I found out from mutual friends that she had left him the day after our confrontation. She hadn't even waited a full 24 hours before moving on to some other rich businessman who could fund her expensive tastes. And Liam? Well, he had the nerve to try and reach out again. At first, it was just text apologies, excuses, desperate attempts to explain. Then came the calls. Voicemails filled with regret, pleading, anger. I ignored every single one. And when he showed up at my apartment, I was ready. The knock on my door was soft at first, hesitant. Then, louder. I took my time, sipping my wine before making my way over. When I finally opened it, Liam stood there, looking different. The cocky arrogance was gone. His suit was slightly wrinkled, his hair messier than usual, and there were dark circles under his eyes. "Good. Did you really think I wouldn't come?" he asked, his voice strained. I leaned against the doorframe, raising an eyebrow. "I was hoping you wouldn't." He swallowed his Adam's apple, bobbing. "Look, I know I messed up, okay? But we were good together. We loved each other." I laughed. "Did we? Because I don't remember love feeling like betrayal." He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. "I was stupid. I got caught up in money. In status." I folded my arms. "You wanted more, remember? Well, now you have less than nothing." He flinched, and for a moment, I almost felt bad. Almost. "I miss you," he whispered. "I miss us." I tilted my head, pretending to think. That's funny, because I don't miss you at all." He took a step closer, his voice desperate now. "Please, just can we talk? Just for a minute?" I held up a hand, stopping him. "We are talking, Liam, and I have only one thing left to say." I took a deep breath, meeting his eyes. "I forgive you." His brows furrowed, confusion flickering in his gaze. "Wait, you do?" I smiled. "Yes, but that doesn't mean I want you back. It means I'm done letting you have any power over me." Liam's mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked lost, like a man who had just realized he had gambled everything and lost it all. I reached for the door. "Goodbye, Liam." And with that, I shut the door in his face. Life had never been better. I had taken the money I secured from our investments and started my own business. Something for me. Something that didn't revolve around making someone else happy. I traveled. I laughed more. I learned to enjoy my own company. And love? Well, I wasn't looking for it. But one evening, as I sat at my favorite cafe, a man approached my table with a kind smile. "Mind if I join you?" I looked up, studying him for a moment. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying too hard. He just seemed genuine. I smiled back. "Sure. Because sometimes, the best beginnings start after the worst endings."